Muslim women around the world have been mistreated and oppressed for centuries. Some predominantly Muslim countries refuse to educate and teach their women and can even resort to violence. However, such actions have been adapted culturally, not through the Quran. Islam has been stereotyped and misinterpreted for millennia. Islam itself preaches equality between the sexes, inner purity, anti-violence, and modesty. In regard to women, the Quran explains how men and women were created equal. It encourages education for women, and it preaches modesty as a form of pride. However, society and cultures clash with Islam and interpret it differently, causing the different variations of severity of Islamic belief that can seem unequal, harsh, and oppressive. Islam encourages the education of its women, as mothers are seen as the greatest teachers in a young child's life. However, some Muslim cultures deny and refuse to educate their sisters, daughters, and mothers.
I have rights. I have the right of education. I have the right to play. I have the right to sing. I have the right to talk. I have the right to go to market. I have the right to speak up.
She's become the voice for girls around the world.
Malala Yousafzai, the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, was living under Taliban occupation in the Swat Valley in 2009. The Yousafzai family was and is notorious for running a chain of schools in the region. After her BBC blog was released demonstrating the strict and horrendous circumstances of being under Taliban control, the Taliban issued a demand for her assassination. Malala was shot 3 times on her school bus on October 9, 2012, for promoting the education of women and advocating for human rights through her internet blogs. After being left unconscious and in critical condition, Malala arrived at Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, England, where she recovered. Malala fought off the reign of the Taliban and continues to fight for human rights and educating women around the world.
We are human beings, and this is the part of our human nature, that we don't learn the importance of anything until it's snatched from our hands. And when in Pakistan, when we were stopped from going to school, at that time I realized that education is very important, and education is the power for women. And that's why the terrorists are afraid of education. They do not want women to get education, because then women would become more powerful.
I interviewed Hassan Mohammed, the director of the Minnesota Dawah Institute, to get his opinion and interpretation of Islam.
My name is Hassan Mohammed. Hassan is first name and last name Mohammed, and my title is Imam, I-M-A-M, which means the religious leader of this center.
Okay.
So I'm director at the same time.
What does the Islamic community believe about the education of its women?
Fairness. That's the way we look, the fairness. And then when it comes like women in Islam must be educated. The Prophet Muhammad's wives, they were teachers to the men. They were teaching. One of the great scholars that has School of Thought of Islam and School of Jurisprudence, one of his teachers, main teachers, was a woman. If you heard about Cordova University, in Arabic it's Cordoba, but Cordova University was in Andalus. That time they called Andalus land. It was now it is Spain. Spain, one time they had like Islamic civilization. If you read it, and they had the most important university, or the largest university in Europe, where the rest of the Europe were dark, not light. Spain, because of the Islamic civilization, was the only place that had lights. Not only that Islamic university taught by women. How many? 70 professors teaching the most sophisticated subjects related to the science of eye. 800 years ago.
In regard to the roles of women in self-efficacy, Islam allows women to inherit, work outside the home, and even seek an education. However, like in most societies clash with religion. Although Islam promotes self-efficiency, self-satisfaction, and self-efficacy for women, male-dominated cultures often violate these rights. However, in many Muslim communities, women have strong influences within their families, workplace, and religion.
What we talk is here, roles in Islam. Like man has a specific role, and women have a woman has a specific role because of their nature. Like, for example, I will never be, and I cannot be a mother. And your mother always, she is the mother. So in Islam, we have like a specific role for the mothers, for example.
Yep.
She is the head of the house. So sometimes you can call she's the internal minister, where the father is like external minister. So the breadwinner. That's what we have in Islam. Okay, in Islam, we have something called like house. And that house, someone has to be in charge. Like, for example, that's why I say like we don't talk equality, because sometimes mothers, they have more rights than over the father. Woman is a daughter, she's a sister, she's a wife, she's a mother. So all this in Islam has a meaning.
It is often misinterpreted that modesty within Islam is only required by women. However, both Muslim men and women are expected to present themselves in a manner that emphasizes modesty. In American culture, we see covering up as a burden forced upon by Muslim men when it isn't. The hijab and burqas, for an example, are a representation of Muslim women liberating themselves from the male gaze. Although it varies from culture to culture and individual beliefs, Muslim men and women are required by Islam to behave and dress modestly. It is often interpreted that Muslim women are oppressed religiously. However, many Muslim women today are affirming their rights and responsibilities in Islam. While Muslim men and women are separated in prayer, they are still required to participate equally and have the same religious responsibilities as men. Regardless of perspectives of oppression, Muslim women today continue to fight for the true interpretation of Islam, where they're seen as equally represented and not misunderstood.
So that's what Islam teaches. So let people be free and make their own decision.
With all of that being said, Islam is interpreted in many different ways by Western societies. Often, Islam is seen as a justification for the mistreatment of women. However, it is more of the societies and separate cultures that negatively influence outlooks on Islam. Despite inequality, oppression, and separation shown in the media, Muslim women today have more freedom than ever. Islam itself preaches equality of the sexes by allowing women to inherit, further their education, work outside the home, equally participate in prayer and religious events, and so much more. We must stop being so closed-minded to something so misunderstood. Islam is a beautiful religion that has inspired and influenced generations of societies and cultures. We can no longer misjudge something that we refuse to understand. Be open-minded, come to an understanding, and change the way you think. You can make a difference.